So we are on episode 11, if I can do my math right, on You Got It. You Got It standing for unabashedly giving all the time. And we have an unabashed giver today in the form of Brian, the Mac guy. Brian, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ashwin. I am unabashedly giving every day, whether it's through kindness or positivity or gifting Max.
Yeah, and I see that in my feed. So first of all, a huge shout out to Derek Mildred, who's been a past guest on the show, who made the intro to Brian. So I thank you, Derek, for doing what you're doing as well. So Brian, talk a little bit about me.
I'm going to give a thank you to Derek too. Yeah, thanks for connecting me with Ashwin, and thanks for shouting me out as a rising star last year. It's been a fun LinkedIn journey thus far.
It's amazing. Yeah, just seeing. So talk a little bit about your absolutely unique LinkedIn profile and what you do, and then let's dive in.
Well, my business buys and sells Apple products. It's really that simple. You go to sellyourmac.com and you start your trading process. And our typical customer is someone that's just upgraded their Mac, or a company that's upgrading a fleet of hundreds of computers. And we help out everyone from one to thousands of devices. And our big side project is gifting Macs, which I know we're about to get into.
Got it. Awesome. And like I said, it's such a unique profile, and it kind of, you don't forget, right? Once you interact with Brian,
it's all blue.
As you can see. Hey, by the way, we didn't color coordinate today. Just FYI.
I like it. You got the blue and white too. Look at
I
that.
know. Yeah, it's like just so happened. So one of the things, again, I'm looking at your post, right, and it is exactly like you said, right? Whether it's about your Halloween thing, whether it's about the nature of people going out of their way to help others. And the question that people have in mind, and I've asked this of all my YouGatters, is like, when somebody gets into this mode of giving, it's unabashed. At that point, it's just a virtuous cycle that continues to give. The challenge that most people feel is getting into that first mode. Do I have anything worthy of giving, right? So if I look at you, Brian, right, you have a business which is buying and selling Macs, and yet your posts are everything. 99% of it is about everything else but that, right? And yet, so without selling what you're selling, you are creating and you look at it, whether it's the videos that you post, whether it's the LinkedIn, like we posted from yesterday, I'm going to talk about it in a bit, but it's just, how does somebody get into the mode of get out of what their quote unquote business or work or gig is, and talk about stuff that really matters?
I think it's hard for a lot of people. They think that it's just a business network, but it truly is a social network, and people need to share content that resonates with others. And, kindness and giving really resonates with the audience on LinkedIn. So I truly encourage people to share more kind content, because that's going to make people lean in. And if you're sharing your business content all the time, it's really going to send people away, and you're not going to grow your following, because people don't want to be hard sold to. But by sharing the kind content, it brings people into your profile, and then you can tell them what you do. And I think I use the headline space to do that very well. I tell people I bought $45 million of Apple products, and I ask them, can I buy your old devices? And that is my way to soft sell once you've landed on my profile. And so I just want to get you there by sharing content that you're actually going to like and enjoy, and that's shareable. So if people share more shareable content, that'll lead to a lot more people looking at their profile and doing business with you.
So one of the big things, and again, I'm looking at the kinds of content that you share, which is amazing human videos of kindness, empathy, and just giving, right? And yet you have, just like you said, you have to say it's a business network, right? I need to put up my work persona, and
Yep.
Yet you kind of look at people like you, pick up Corey Warfield, Derek Mildred, and you can go on and on and on. It is the connection. Again, I'll be honest with you, right? It's not your Mac thing that connected me to you. It's everything that. But now I know what you do.
Exactly.
It's exactly what you're saying. So how does
that's the right way to do it?
But that's not taught in business schools, right? That's not your traditional leadership mantra. So talk.
I'll give a shout out to Corey Warfield. He's one of the people that helped clue me into this. Over a year ago, he kind of showed me the way through his own content. It was all about connecting people and creating value, and had nothing to do with his business. he was running a company called Shedwool, and he would share sheet gifts that were just really funny and people liked. And now he's helping create LinkedIn influencers, and he's doing that by sharing content that resonates with others. And of course, uses his headline and his profile to then have people interact and send him messages.
Yeah, it looks so simple when you talk about it, right? So the going back to another obstacle that people face, right, is ROI, which is, hey, Brian has posted 7 videos. Has he got one lead out of it? Which is the opposite mentality of you getters. So again, talk a little bit about your own journey. How did you get past the ROI, and somebody who's stuck in that ROI saying, hey, I'm not getting enough followers, I'm not getting enough leads. Why should I post? I mean, how do they get past that?
Yeah, it can be tough. It's a long journey. And if you're not in it for the long haul on LinkedIn, you're not going to get to a place where you're getting leads every day. I had one really big opportunity that I landed 3 years ago. I did a $1 million sale of iPads on a single LinkedIn post. And that kind of showed me what was possible. But at the time, I was not getting leads and opportunities every day. But knowing I could get there, I continuously posted about twice a day over the last few years. And now I'm getting leads every single day with the type of content I'm sharing. But it took me getting away from doing content that was about myself and about my business and focusing on others and what's in it for them. And that allowed me to truly resonate with my audience and bring people into my content and then have more conversations with them.
And that's so powerful, right? The unlearning and relearning, because yeah, you've been kind of trained a certain way, and now suddenly you're saying, hey, it's about giving first. Like, so it's that the other aspect, and again, from the ROI aspect, is to quid pro quo, right? Okay, so I have given so much to this community or this person. What is he or she doing for me? And again, how do you get past that? Because that's, I mean, honestly, that's how we've been built up, right? Which is, hey, you do something for somebody, and they do
Yeah.
something for you, right?
I think the law of reciprocity does work to some extent on LinkedIn. Typically people that you're engaging with, they're going to see your content higher on their feed. So it almost happens naturally to some standpoint from the LinkedIn algorithm. But I would not expect someone to leave me a comment just because I left them a comment, for example. It's more creating relationships. So as you comment on someone's post over time, they're going to learn who you are. And if you're sharing insightful messages, it's going to naturally lead them to want to engage with your content. But not everyone is engaging with others. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about someone like me. Should I like them? Just give on LinkedIn. If you're giving more, you're going to get way more in return.
Yeah, and something that you and I just talked about just briefly before we hit record, which is the opening up the floodgates of more content creators out there, right? Whether it's LinkedIn Live, whether it's newsletters.
Yeah.
So again, it's a perfect time to talk about. This is the one of the few ways of really rising above the noise, where people look at you and saying, okay, like it's almost like there's this built up momentum. Like, you have to have a business. I need to know what you're up to, right? Because you're giving all the time. So talk about that counterintuitive way of rising above this huge influx of noise.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise out there in general. So I think you have to be creative with your content. So you mentioned LinkedIn Live, for example. It's definitely a way to stand out because there's not a lot of people doing it. The newsletters, I'm not so sure about because they're flooding my inbox already, as I know they're yours. And I think there's probably too much noise on that right now. And in general, it's just creating, content of value. If someone is truly interested in your content, they're going to come back again. So whether it's, doing that in a live form or just a normal video or an image, for example, I think it's just the ability to do that continuously that's going to resonate with people. So yeah, it's a long journey. And if you're not posting consistently, you're not going to keep people's attention.
Okay, so you already jumped the gun on the next question, which is, how does one develop that consistency? Because it's like you're looking for this one-hit wonder of a post that went viral, and then no, the next post could have nothing but crickets, but yet you need to show up, right? So how did you build that discipline to show up, like when you started posting twice a day?
I think it's mindset. I've been an entrepreneur for a very long time, so I've had that perseverance and persistence kind of built in. I've had things go very bad with my business many years ago, and having to fight through stuff like that kind of really builds up your mindset muscles to push through when you're not seeing the results you want, or when you do have a bad day or a bad year. So the ability to kind of just move on past, a bad post is definitely crucial. The same way an athlete needs to move past a bad basketball shot or a bad golf shot, for example, just kind of put it behind you and go focus on the next one. And I think there's a lot of testing to do in LinkedIn. Like, you might not know what resonates with your audience. So you might have some bad posts, but as you try new types of content and refine it, you'll find what does resonate. And then you'll be off to the races.
Got it. And the other piece, again, this is so true of the posts that you, videos that you, Corey, Derek, all these people do, which is the micro view of it, right? Which is within 2 minutes, 3 minutes or less sometimes, you share so much, right? So so somebody who's been thinking of, oh, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to write a huge article and all that, this ability to kind of show up consistently and also realize that people have too many distractions, right? So how do you kind of condense it into a form that is just enough that they can get that bite-sized and move on?
People's time is very valuable in general, and on LinkedIn, people are not going to waste their time looking at your content. So really shortening it to a point that is that kind of micro piece. A typical video needs to be under a minute. If it's over a minute, people aren't even going to start watching it. Yeah. So I think a lot of my best video posts are under 10 seconds. And when you start looking at the content that you only have to give 10 seconds of your time, so you're more easily going to be leaning in. And in general, spacing out your text copy, I think, is very crucial to make it easy to read, kind of bullet point style form. If you don't make it easier for your audience to engage, they're not going to. So give it to them in a very short format. Tell them exactly what the meat of it is. Writing any fluff in a LinkedIn post is not worth your time or your audience's.
Yeah, talking about keeping it succinct. So I have this post from you, right? It took me about 15 seconds to read it. I'm going to read it out from the audience, right? Just to make a point. 7 things that require zero talent but make you successful: positivity, connecting with people, passion, listening to others, work ethic, kindness, and love for others and yourself. And you have given so much. Now I could take that back and put it up on my wall, use it as my wallpaper, and actually dwell on it, right? So talk a little bit about that aspect of you give so much in such a short form, and yet people can consume it at will and dwell on it on their own schedule, versus, hey, have you come to my webinar and lead gen, and again going back to the traditional aspect of. So talk about that.
I don't post much content that takes a lot of time to digest, because I think I've learned that content just won't do well. And those short pieces, like the one you just mentioned, it was in text copy and also image. So kind of giving it to the audience the way they want to consume it. So, maybe you wanted the image, maybe someone else wanted the copy, and it's there for both of you. So I always have that type of mindset that, you give it to them in a couple of different forms. They might resonate with the short video, or they might resonate what you said about it. So making it digestible, either way the audience wants it and appreciates it, I think, is important. And also assuming, in videos, a lot of people have their sound on. So make it, add the captions and stuff like that, or add the copy so they don't need to look at the video and hear the noise. So that way more people are going to be able to, learn from it.
Yeah, it's so important, right? So this is something I subscribe to, which is, hey, the message is the message. The medium is whatever resonates with the audience. So exactly to your point.
You can share a crazy video with a great message, and people will read your message.
Exactly. So one of the obstacles, again, is while you're journeying, you can teach others, even if your quote unquote destination that you set for yourself is many, many miles or years away, right? So that ability for you gators, and which I found really stunning, which is you've learned one thing and you're giving back even as you're learning step number 2, right? So how does kind of one get past the thing, okay, let me reach a pinnacle of success before I start teaching others how I got there? It's like, no, the first step that you take, you want to teach others. Any advice for people struggling with that? Let me get to some place before I help.
I'm always still learning, first and foremost. I love, learning from others, whether it's about LinkedIn or the IT industry in general, and life, stocks, you name it. And I think that a lot of the learnings that happen earlier on might even be more beneficial to people that are kind of getting started on their journey. And that's why I go back in a lot of podcasts, for example, and share about some of my early learnings and failures, because those are the times where you kind of learn the most when you're really stumbling. So I think when people do share that type of stuff, it really resonates, because a lot of people are going through that at the start of their journey, whether they're starting to be an entrepreneur, for example, or starting a side hustle. So I think that people should definitely lean in and share about their failures, even though it's very tough, because it'll actually help out a lot of other people that are going through the same thing.
Wow, wow, you could not agree more. I mean, it's so important to show your vulnerable self and stuff that, exactly like you said, the failures, the stumbles, the learnings that you've had, so others can. Versus, yeah, you're right. I mean, you're a
We learn the most when we mess up the most.
So true, right? And
sadly.
no, and I think it's something that is, especially with social media and the quote unquote perfect image that you have to portray out there, it sometimes gets lost, right? And sometimes when you see people like you and Corey and others sharing stuff, it's like, man, I mean, they've got to have guts to do what they're doing, because ultimately that's what connects people. So I really appreciate what
the more vulnerable you are, I think the more it's going to resonate. I mean, I've posted a video before that I had a really tough thing happen to me and I was crying, and just the support of people rallying around you is huge. And it allows people to get past the stigma that, things are perfect on social media. Typically on Instagram, you're not seeing the type of content of people, sobbing or sharing their downturn of their business. But on LinkedIn, when you see that, you want to help them and you want to learn from them. So I think that type of stuff is really great to share.
Absolutely. So one final question, Brian, which is for somebody who is not yet a yogator, right? But he or she is at that point where they want to start helping. What's that first step that you would advise them to take today?
I would say share love and kindness in all your words with others, whether it's someone that is already your friend or someone that you don't know, because sharing kindness is free. So you don't have to worry if you've built up a business or anything like that. It'll really help people out in their life. It'll put a smile on their face. And that's a lot of what people need these days. They need a smile. They're having a tough day. So I think if you can say a kind word to a stranger, for example, it can go a long way. And I learned this, from my dad, for example. He says really nice things to random people all the time. And people think I'm crazy of how many random things I say to strangers as I'm walking around, but it actually really uplifts them and they look at you and smile. And even if they don't respond, you know that you might have helped change their day in a positive way. So I try to do that all the time, offline and online. And I think that's really helps people out.
Amazing. Yeah, I still remember when you and I first talked about the checkout clerk and you gave her, I think it was $2. And just like, it's such a small thing, but no one has ever done it, obviously. And Brian stands up over there.
She had never even seen a $2 bill before. She's like, this is amazing.
So powerful, right? Again, Brian, I appreciate your time.
Smallest acts of kindness. Shout out to Michael Ray. He does the most amazing random acts of kindness.
and those are so powerful, right? I mean, just hitting a stranger when they least expect it, and it just the amazing thing that you and I talked about is the positive give forward effect, right? So the way forward,
it's like buying someone a coffee, in line. Hopefully they're going to buy it for someone behind them, and you create this train of kindness happening, and that's how we can make the world a better place, and put a smile on everyone's face at the same time.
Unbelievable. Again, Brian, we really appreciate your time and glad our paths crossed, and good luck with everything.
I appreciate it. And if anyone's listening wants to learn more how to do better on LinkedIn, I would love to help them out as well.
Yeah, and a huge shout out. And yeah, if you're thinking of getting better on LinkedIn, Brian is the guy to go to. Right. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Cheers, everyone. Look forward to catching up in the comments.